Hey guys, welcome to your next video. This one's on Objective 7.11a, Model and Solve Inequalities. The EQ is how do I graph an inequality on a number line. Go ahead and also draw these two pictures and the words next to them, so I'll explain it to you. If you need to stop and pause the video to write this down, go ahead and do so now. So if the sign is less than or greater than, it's an open circle when you're graphing it on a number line. And if it's greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, it's going to be a closed circle. So these little pictures should be able to help you out through the rest of this video as well. So we'll refer back to them as we go on. So question number 1 says 2x plus 7 is greater than 11. So just like you did in your two-step equations, our first step is going to be to remove the constant or undo the constant, if you may. So we are going to go ahead and draw the line through the inequality, just like we did with the equal sign on the equations. And you have to remove the constant by doing inverse operations. So this was a positive 7, so we're going to subtract 7. And what you do to one side, you do to the other. So we're actually going to do it to this side as well. So that leaves us now with, this is 0. So that cancels each other out. That's a 0 pair. And then this, it leaves us with 4. So now our new inequality looks like 2x is greater than 4. So now what we're going to have to do is we want to get x all by itself. We want to isolate the variable. So the way to do that would be to divide by the coefficient. The coefficient is 2 in this one. That's the number in front of the variable. So we're going to divide by 2, and what you do to one side, you do to the other. So then that leaves us with x is greater than 4 divided by 2 is obviously 2. So x is greater than 2. Now what does that look like on a number line? If you go ahead and draw a quick number line on your page. Something like that would do. So we're going to have to put this x is greater than 2 on a number line. So we're going to look up here and see if we're going to use a closed circle or an open circle first. So we see that it's just a less than, or it's a greater than sign right here, that it doesn't have an equals to below it. So we know that's going to be an open circle. So let's go ahead and draw our open circle on 2. And then we're going to draw an arrow going down, okay? Or going up, rather. So now let's go on to number 2 real quick. So number 2, oftentimes you'll see inequalities that look, to you it may look backwards. So let's do one that looks like that. So 5 is less than 3x plus 7. And again, guys, to check your work on these is just like two-step equations. Plug that number in and see if it works, okay? So with this one, our first step again, if we go back to the first one we did, was to remove the constant. So to remove the constant, you have to do a 0 pair, right? So we're going to subtract 7 from both sides, because what you do to one side, you do to the other. So that's going to equal 0, so we can just cross that out. And then 5 minus 7 is actually negative 2. So we're going to redraw our inequality sign, and then we're going to bring down the 3x, because we haven't done anything with that yet. So now we are going to divide by the coefficient. So let's go ahead and divide by 3, because that's the number that's in front of the variable, the coefficient. And what you do to one side, you do to the other. So now this looks like negative 2/3. And then 3 divided by 3 is just 1, so we successfully isolated the variable. And so now it's just x, or negative 2/3 is less than x. So how would we graph that on a number line? Let's draw one out. And let's go by negative 1/3, negative 2/3, negative 1, And then we'll go this way, 1/3, 2/3, 1. Okay, so now we're gonna have to see, is this one open or closed? Again, it doesn't have an equal sign below it. There's no line below the inequalities. So we know that one is going to be open as well. So if we're gonna draw that one, it would look something like this. So we know that x is going to be greater than -2/3, right? So we know if it's greater, it's going to go this way on the number line. It's going to go further up. It's going to be a larger number. And for the last one, we will do (5h minus 4) is greater than or equal to 11. So again, first step, let's go ahead and remove the constant. So this is a -4. So the opposite of -4 would be +4, right? So what you do to one side, you do to the other. So let's go ahead and do that to the other side as well. So this is a 0 pair. Once again, that's our whole goal. So that cancels each other out because it's 0. And 11 plus 4 is 15. So now we're going to put the sign back the way it was, and now we have 5h is greater than or equal to 15. Our next step is to divide by the coefficient. Again, coefficient's the number in front of the variable. So we're going to divide by 5 on both sides, because what you do to one side, you do to the other. So that leaves us with h is greater than or equal to 15 divided by 5 is 3. So if I were to draw a number line on this one, if I were to draw a number line on this one, it would look like this. So we have h is greater than or equal to 3. If we go back up to the faces that we drew at the beginning, we're going to look for greater than or equal to sign, which is right here. So we're going to know that this dot's going to actually be closed this time. And so if h is greater than or equal to 3, our dot's going to be closed on 3. And we are going to go greater than or equal to, it will be this way. That's all I got for you guys. See you in class.